I know. Weekends over. These summertime weekends, they always fly right by, don't they? But it's time to get back to work. We got money to make this week. Third week of July. We got earnings season kicking into gear here. And are you seeing this too? We just retested that big run up from last Friday. You know, it might be a good time to get short. If you watched my videos last week, you're probably thinking right now, is this a good time to short this? It definitely might be, but we got to be careful though. Very bullish environment overall. If we learned one thing last week, we can't be in the business of picking tops in a bull market. But I've got a couple different great short setups I'm tracking for tomorrow, which really could be one of the best trades of the month here. So I got some short side trades, got some long side trades. I'm going to cover all my favorite trades in the video tonight that we have a game plan to make some money on Tuesday. Before we jump in though and get the party going tonight, a lot we're going to cover in a very important video here tonight. Before we jump in though, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video, so make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you guys enjoy this stuff here tonight, do me a favor as always, hit that like button for me. Give me a shout out, give me a holler down in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the channel. But enough of the intro, Joe. Let's get ready for Tuesday. There are some really nice trades setting up here for Tuesday. Now, starting off tonight on the 60-minute time frame on the S&P and the SPY and the NASDAQ and the QQQs, I like to use these 60-minute charts to plan my trades ahead of time. And then later on in the video tonight, I'm going to drill down to faster time frames, and we'll talk about the ways to set up the entries and actually qualify the entries. It'll be a great video from start to finish here for tonight. Like I mentioned earlier, we just retested. Everything bullish, right? Everything pretty bullish here right now. You don't need me to tell you that. We had that strong run up into the end of the week last week. And what do we always say? Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, what do we expect? We expect to get a pullback and a retest of the high. Pullback and retest of the high. So if you're a student of mine, or if you've taken my free trading classes, what do we say? Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. So really at this point in the process, we've got some big news coming out tomorrow. We'll talk more about that. But all things equal, at this point, the buyers have to ultimately show us, right? They have to prove to us they want to keep going higher, because if they don't give us some proof here quickly, there'll probably be some sellers trying to rotate this back down to take out those lows, really weekly lows, as we have right now. So that's why I said before, I think there's definitely probably some money to be made shorting off the highs here on the S&P and NASDAQ. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the video tonight. Got to be a bit careful, right? Because again, we're overall bullish, but I think there's probably money to make on the buy side too, on both sides of this. I think there could easily be some bear traps down below us and some really nice, again, bear traps and buying opportunities around the low, because this may end up flushing out one big trading range as we go into earnings season later on this week and into next week. So got some long side trades, definitely some short side trades. We're going to drill down to faster time frames here in a moment. Now, before we talk about my favorite trades here for tomorrow, why don't we take a quick look here at the schedule for tomorrow. Three things you need to be aware of here for tomorrow. First, all the news events that we know about, at least. We got retail sales, industrial production. You know that both of these news events have potential to really move the markets. Retail sales obviously will be affected by inflation. Industrial production, of course, right, affected by the overall manufacturing sector. So we definitely expect those to be on the radar of traders here for tomorrow. That will definitely be watching those as a potential catalyst tomorrow in our trade room. And also too, like I mentioned earlier, we now kick off what is a 3-week, what they call earnings season. It lasts longer than 3 weeks, but for our purposes here, trading the way we trade, we only got to worry about these 3 weeks. We're now beginning that first week, and as you can see, it's pretty much an appetizer for what is called peak week next week. Now, we definitely do have some significant earnings this week, but we're probably not not going to need to worry about them until Wednesday after the close. Tesla, Netflix, some big airline companies, IBM, right? Just a couple names that you may have heard from. I'm not saying that earnings tomorrow aren't important, but unless the banks, Bank of America, Charles Schwab, unless these banks really surprise us, it doesn't seem like the markets care too much about the banks anymore. It seems like they've gotten over that, but that's definitely something I'm watching for tomorrow. We got some big names, right? Bank of America, we got Chuck, we got Morgan Stanley, get some big names tomorrow before the open. I don't anticipate there to be much reaction until Wednesday, but I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't going to be keeping an eye on it just to see how the markets are going to react to that. So just be aware of that. Probably not going to have to worry about earnings until Wednesday. We're going to come back tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit more detail about earnings reports. My biggest focus for tomorrow is how do we react off the highs overnight, and how does retail sales and industrial production, how do those, right, where do those put us here tomorrow as well? So that's the schedule, and that's what's on my mind as far as news and earnings go here. Now, let's get back to our charts, though, because the money is made on the charts. Let's go over my favorite setups here now. I'm going to talk about the S&P and SPY first, and we'll wrap things up on the QQQs. These are very, very similar markets right now, so pretty much everything we talk about on the E-mini and the SPY can be applied to the NASDAQ and the QQQs. Now, jumping in here real quickly, you'll notice all the time frames will be in the upper left-hand corner. This is the 21 EMA, right? You'll notice all the time frames upper left-hand corner, and that is the 21 EMA if you're watching here for the first time. Very bullish. They've retested that high. Can I short, right? Can I short off that high? Can I buy off of that low? Will this begin to create a big trading range? There's always a chance we keep going higher. There's always a chance we keep going higher here. It's pretty elevated right now, so it does seem reasonable to expect a correction at some point. So how would we sell this double top right now? Let's drill down now. Let's go down to a tick chart. Now, I like to use the 60-minute to plan the bigger picture, but I like to use tick charts in our trade room because they make everything easier. That's the 7,000 tick chart you can see there, listed there in the upper right-hand corner. We, of course, are running right into that big high that we saw on that 60-minute. And this area right here, this area right there, that 45.28 area is where you would think if the sellers get what they want tomorrow, you would think that is where we end up here. There are really three different types of short setups I'm tracking for tomorrow. We covered these all, by the way, in our free trading classes. For example, right now, you can see on the S&P, we've begun to kind of turn over right off this high. I don't want to sell low. I don't want to chase it, right? I've got some key support levels down bottom here. We'll talk about that more in a moment. If I want to short something, I want to sell as high as I possibly can. And so we talk about this in the free trading courses, right? What's my favorite pattern to short as high as I can? It's going to be in this case, a bull trap. Now, trap patterns are simple. As we're making lower lows in price, we find swing highs. Now, remember, like I teach in the free trading class, we have to see a good, strong signal for a bull trap above that 54 3/4. It may end up going a bit higher. Get that signal there. Get that nice, strong red candle closing below. But think about it, a bull trap is going to be necessary here because we're overall bullish, right? This is not a bear market yet, right? Overall bull market right now. So I have to anticipate that as we go lower, you're probably going to see more buyers down here. So I don't want to chase it going lower. I'd rather wait for it to pop up and then again, grab a bull trap like I talk about in the free trading course, right? That'd be a great short as we try to take out those lows. Now, one thing you want to be aware of is if we don't go lower, right? If we don't go lower, let's say, for example, the market opens up in Asia and we go back and retest that high. Doesn't seem as likely right now, but again, we're an overall bull market. If I was to retest the high, we talk a lot about this in our trade room. These are what you would call a double top, right? A double top reversal. Very, very easy. Watch how I draw this. You guys are learning most of these in the free course already, though. Now, remember, when I retest that high, that's a horrible place to be a buyer, right? So we have to assume the only people buying up there are rookie traders, right? They're not going to be professional traders. They're not the high, at least. So what I want to do is because we're bullish, I have to give the buyers the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to let them try a couple times, guys. I'm going to use what's called a 2-try failure pattern. It's a slight variation of the failure pattern that you guys will learn in our free trading course. What that does is that will allow me now to sell into their stop losses. Okay, so again, if we roll off the high, that's kind of the easy part. But if we end up rolling back up and taking out that high again, because again we are overall bullish, then let's see if we can trap in some of these buyers. Let them try once, let them try twice, and literally use their stop losses as fuel to make that run back down. That could easily be a very profitable trade tomorrow as well. And then also, too, remember, once we get these double tops off the high, oftentimes these things will really collapse and run lower. A great follow-up entry on this. Watch how I do this, guys. I'm going to draw a trend line off these lows. I'm going to bring it up around the high. And then what do we always say in the trade room? We learn this also in the free trading classes, right? Look left, find a prior swing, and first test, right? First test is the best test off the high of that channel. Now, I'm going to keep it simple right now. This is a bull trap I'm drawing right now, but this could be a bull trap. It could be a buyer failure pattern. It could be a pullback combination. It could be a strength move as we go lower. If you've taken my free trading classes, you know this lingo, right? You know what these setups look like. If you haven't, though, if you haven't taken that free course yet, what I'll do is I'll put a link up there for you in the upper right-hand corner. If you're one of the few folks who haven't done that yet, grab that link, take that free trading class, because the strategy you'll learn in that short video series will teach you a simple trick we use in our trade room to know where the best winning trades will be each day. And most importantly, I'll teach you 4 of my favorite entry patterns to help you make money out there on your own. If you're missing the best trades right now, if you're sick and tired of getting inconsistent results, not having confidence, the roadmap you'll learn will get you on the right track. You'll love that free trading class. I'll also put all the important links, by the way, down in the description of the video. So if for some reason you can't get that link that popped up there, they'll all be down the description. All right, now I want to talk about one more short setup, and then I want to go over some variations of those as we get deeper into the video. And guys, I am going to talk about some buy-side trades a bit later on in the video because we are overall bullish right now. So again, I mentioned earlier, as we're going lower, I'm looking for what? Bull traps, right? As we go. But let's say the sellers are ahead of the game, right? Let's say this market winds up rolling lower here as we go. I don't want to sell low. And we mentioned earlier that anytime we see a strong move in one direction, what do we expect? In a bearish move like this, we expect what? A pullback and a retest of that level. So I'm anticipating right now if the rug gets pulled out from underneath these guys, right? If we don't get, again, I would love to get a bit of a trap entry, but if for some reason if the rug gets pulled and this thing ends up rolling, going lower, what do we do in these situations? That's a good question. What we do is we start waiting for, well, ultimately we look left. What I'll do is I'll start connecting some of these lows down to that low. I'll start bringing it up around the high to find a channel. Okay, we talk a lot about how to draw channels backwards, right? So I anchor them off prior swings, connect to that low, bring it up around that high, and then what I always do is as we're going lower, I'm going to keep marking up these prior swings, mark that low, mark that high, and again, think about that bounce back up. Again, I'm not going to want to chase it going lower. I would imagine that trading range we ended the week last week, anybody who sold short off the high could easily be looking at that range as a profit target. That is the prior week close, that 45.35. So I'd love to get a bit of a relief rally off of that low, get right into the high of a new channel, and it could be simple. It could be a bull trap, like above that swing. The buyers may come in and try to buy this thing. I get it. We're overall bullish. But if we roll over hard, we have a pretty good idea of where the market is trying to take out here. So I'll be looking for a bull trap above that high, maybe a buyer failure above the moving average, and then that should be able to roll over, take out that low, and then we can start thinking about being a buyer down here, right? Because like I said earlier, once we looking at the 60-minute chart, you'll notice what's going on, right? Strong run, shallow pullback, new higher high, trap low, right? Strong run, shallow pullback, new higher high. I would imagine there are plenty of buyers, right, who are looking to buy underneath that low at 45.20 here on the S&P, and the same thing, right, on the NASDAQ, right, that 15,661 there on the NQ. So back to our tick charts here. Those are the three different types of shorts I'm looking for right now. On the way down, again, looking for bull traps going lower. If we were to miraculously retest that high here, trap those buyers in, 1, 2 with a 2-try failure pattern, and then as we roll lower, as those stops get lit up and the market collapses, we then go out, we find those new channels by drawing them backwards, drawing off the lows, up around the highs, and we go looking for things like bull traps, buyer failures, right, off the high of it, as we keep trying to hunt, right, for that low. And again, if the rug gets pulled and we start to drift lower here, just kind of stay patient for that pop up. Ideally, get above that 21 moving average, get the buyers coming in, let them try to buy, and think about where their pain is, and we can sell right into those stops with a classic failure pattern. Again, I'll be looking for larger channels, right, anchoring those larger channels off major swings, right, and then looking for that short off the high of it, all with the goal of taking out that low down below. Now, that takes care of the short side. How do we buy this? What if we keep going higher here for tomorrow? What if we go sideways? It's a pretty big move we've made the last week or so, right? The last week at least here. So what if we go sideways here right now? Why don't we grab a look here at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ and the QQQs, they're almost identical to the S&P. The one big difference, though, I will say is the NASDAQ has this bit of a trading range. And, of course, you as you're learning in my free trading classes, ranges act like magnets. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself right now, but if the bears really did get what they want, the amount above this range could be useful projecting below the range. And boy, oh boy, does that put us in a very, very familiar area. Remember this area from last week, right? That was that big prior high. Again, this is obviously ahead of myself right now, but kind of anticipating here. If we were to get that reversal, that double top reversal off these highs here, the amount above that range puts us right about that area. So it would be no surprise to me at all if we slid off the high all the way down, right? Could be some very easy money to make on the way lower. And then, of course, buyers are going to want to come in and buy the dip, right? That's a beautiful place to be looking to buy the dip. So I definitely do think I think there's probably money to make on both sides of this. Let's go to the tick chart here. Again, the 60-minute chart's great, but tick chart's going to make your life a whole lot easier, at least in my opinion, to find the entry patterns here right now. Not a lot changes on the NASDAQ. Again, we're still looking for those bull traps, right? Or should I say bull traps for the short back down, the double top, the 1-2 reversal back down. If we do drop, right, waiting for that pop back up and then shorten that sucker, right, finding those larger channels. Again, I'm kind of sloppy with the drawing here right now. There's a lot of examples of these setups inside of that free trading course, but that's the overall idea, right? The bears are trying to hunt to take out that low. If I took away, right, if I covered up that top up there, you probably wouldn't even know the difference between the S&P and the NASDAQ. Now, let's talk about the buy side, all right? Even though it's not my favorite side in the short term, there are a couple scenarios, though, that I do want to kind of bring to your attention. For example, a range, right? A range up here would be a gift to the buyers. If we were to go sideways here overnight, remember, this is not just the NASDAQ. This could also be the S&P as well. If we start going sideways, remember, ranges act like magnets. And usually what happens is when you have a trading range, oftentimes previous ranges, right? Previous ranges, and more importantly, the levels around previous ranges, right? If you go back in time here, right? These are some, right? You got, level right there, right? Levels around those previous ranges. Those levels oftentimes act as key support. So if we start, get rid of that channel. That channel's not really necessary. That measured move is no longer necessary anymore here. If we start going sideways, and right now my crystal ball doesn't exactly work well enough to know exactly where that range will be. But again, right, if we do start seeing a range here going sideways, okay, that range itself will become a magnet, right? It becomes a magnet. And ultimately, the previous ranges, more importantly, the levels of support, or in this case, the highs, I said earlier, around that trading range, these become a very, very effective place to be a buyer. All right. Now, you'll notice that's a big change between the short I was just talking about on the S&P, and the difference is the trading range, right? If we see a trading range up here, it really gives us that proof we were talking about earlier that the buyers are not giving up. If we start seeing a trading range, trying to short the high becomes a lot less desirable. There's actually one pattern, though, that you can short. So let's say, for example, we go sideways here overnight, and then we make a run going higher here. Okay, remember, we have blue skies overhead. There's nothing up here. However, we're at major highs after a record-setting run last week. I think it was the biggest 3-day move in quite a long time, right? Back to yearly highs here. So let's put it this way, I will not trust that breakout going higher. Hopefully, though, we'll get some buyers to come in and foolishly buy that breakout. Right now, remember, we're an overall bull market in this point. The way that we sell an overall bull market, we need three things. One, we need to be in a major turning point, like a retest of a high, range below us. Two, we'll need to see buyers show signs of exhaustion. And then three, we have to make sure we sell as high as we possibly can. Okay, now in my free trading classes, you guys are learning about failures and traps. Okay, when you wrap together both a failure pattern and a trap pattern, you get this pattern right here. I call these crown reversals. Okay, now the reason why we need a crown reversal is because we're so bullish overall. I have to give the buyers the benefit of the doubt, but once we start seeing those buyers try and struggle here, that bull trap off the high can be very, very lucrative at major resistance. Remember, this is all because of that range coming in here overnight. Now, the good news about a range is the targets are easy. Easy first target, back to take out that low. Second target will be the pendulum swing on the opposite side, okay? The amount we go above can be projected now below, and that becomes a great second profit target as we roll off the high. A lot of times what happens is we'll find a new channel off that low, off that high, get that pullback, and hit it again. So almost identical to that double top reversal that I talked about a bit earlier on the E-mini. So if we do go sideways here, watch that crown reversal off the high. And I'm sure somebody wants to know at what point could I buy this? right? If we do go sideways, right? If we do go sideways, at what point could I buy it? We'd have to get what I call a 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern. I'm not going to teach all of it in this video. You guys will learn a lot more about it in our free video classes. But ultimately, we have to break above the high. We have to hold the pullback, and we have to jump, right? We have to see a pretty convincing follow through off of that moving average. If we do, then yeah, we get a breakout. We can mark off the highs, mark off the lows, and we can start looking to buy, right, to buy pullbacks there. But that'll be a discussion tomorrow morning in our trade, a little bit more advanced here than I want to go into here tonight. But again, if those buyers struggle, if they start struggling, there's that crown reversal, getting that short back down below us here. Now, one more thing I want to talk about. If we do end up going sideways once again, that creates the magnet. I mentioned earlier, these prior swings down here can really be beneficial. If we do end up pulling back here right now, the key is going to be trying to rope in some of these sellers. Remember, if we go sideways, that to me is a very big clue that these buyers are stronger than we may have initially thought they were. I really don't like the idea of shorting below a bullish market into a trading range, but hopefully there's a lot of rookies out there that don't watch my videos, and hopefully as they go in and they try to sell this thing, remember, we're now going back to a previous trading range, support level. I got better levels marked up on the S&P 500 right now. But if we can get those bears to take the bait, right? If we can get those bears to short this thing, we can now think about where their pain is. My first mentor in this business almost 20 years ago, 15 plus years ago now, he would always say, think about where the pain is of the other side of the market and look for ways to literally stick your elbow right in that pain, right? And that's exactly what we're doing here with that 2-try failure, trying to go back up into that trading range, all right? So kind of keep it in mind there for tomorrow. It would not surprise me at all if we popped up, crown reversal off the high, right? Look out below. We take out that pendulum swing, right? We go all the way down, and then the rookies come in. They chase after it going lower, and it's nothing more than one big bear trap down here and right back up into that trading range. That would probably be some of the easiest trading of the week tomorrow if we can get that range. So everybody do their range dance here tonight. We'll pray for ranges tomorrow because it really makes our job easier. It always does. Ranges are very, very easy markets to trade once you learn them. Now, one more thing I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap things up here tonight on the video. If we get what we want tomorrow, right? If we get this bull trap and that short back down, we end up taking out some of these lows here tomorrow. How would I buy it? Right? How would you buy it? If we end up all the way down in this area, right? Remember, think about where you are in the big picture right now. If we end up all the way down below that 61.5 area, this becomes a beautiful place for a bear trap. I have a channel off the high, off the low. It's very difficult to want to short that. I would love to come in, trap the bears in, and buy this thing right back up again. So below that 661.5 level, we really start getting into some very, very exciting buy-side trades once again, because again, we are overall bullish. I want you to think about these two types of patterns though, if we do wind up all the way down around that 661 area. The first one we already discussed earlier, called the crown reversal. If we find our way all the way down to that low, it will probably be what? It'll be very bearish at that point. And anytime we see a strong move down, we expect a pullback and a retest of that low, right? So we have to respect these sellers. So in order for me to want to be a buyer off of that low, one pattern is that crown reversal pattern. This will definitely my favorite pattern to buy off that low on the initial move down. okay, on the initial move down. Okay, again, want to buy as low as we can because as we go higher, there could easily be a channel coming down and we may see more bears come in and run this thing lower. I talked about this earlier on in the video. So think about now, right? Think about now, as we take out some of these lows, we start seeing the bears come in. This is the last place you want to be selling, and we can now use their stops as fuel for that punch, potentially going back up into that range, but realistically, right? Realistically going up into some levels of resistance and then potentially rolling over from there. Now, if we do get that retest, right? If we do end up popping up and rolling over like this, now that double bottom. Remember, we talked about a double top earlier on in the video. Remember what it looked like? It was what? Remember, it's still bearish, right? Not a bull market at this point, but horrible place to be selling. If you want to sell, you want to sell high, right? We talked about that earlier in this lesson. So hopefully there'll be some rookies in there that will come in, try to sell this thing a couple times, and we can ring their bell with a failure pattern going higher. This one's pretty easy at this point. If I can get remember, we can be a lot more aggressive on this entry than we can on the initial entry. Why? Because once they retest that low, now it's mission accomplished, right? When you get that big, strong run down, you've really got to be careful picking that bottom because all of that momentum will want to come back and retest the low. Once they retest the low, right, the smart money, they're already getting paid, right? They're getting out down here now. And in come the rookies. And once those rookies come in, right, line them right up and punch right into their stop losses, double bottom, in this case, double bottom reversal. All we're doing is, guys, is we're using a failure pattern, a two-try failure because momentum being so bearish. And then where do you think are the best targets to be a buyer on this scenario? That one's pretty easy, right? That high right there. Remember, markets love to create trading ranges. So we have to assume we might flesh out a big range here, and the market may rotate back and forth going into earnings, Tesla, Netflix, right? Some big companies coming out later on in the week here. So half off, profit target the highs. And obviously, too, I will try to leave a runner and see if we can go back to retest the high. Again, that'll be a story, a conversation for tomorrow. But that is going to be that's kind of the game plan here as we go lower, right? If it ends up being a strong run down, it's a crown reversal with a bear trap entry. If we then retest that low, it's a two-try failure. We're going to be buying right there into stops. All right, guys? Now, I'm sure the markets will throw some curveball at us overnight. You know, we got some earnings overnight. We talked about that earlier. So, but this is my game plan for tomorrow. Now, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, like I said, I'm sure the market will throw us some curveball that I can't anticipate here tonight, but that's what we have, a trade room, right? Every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to get together. We put our game plan together tonight. Tomorrow we'll go out and we're going to go execute that game plan together tomorrow morning. I'll put all the links you guys need, all the free class links, all the membership links. Come join me in the morning trade room each morning. If you got any questions, if you need help, don't be afraid to call or email or use live chat. We're always here to help out. I'm always standing by to help. If you have any questions, definitely don't be afraid to ask questions as well. All right, guys. Boy, great job tonight. Great day today. Hopefully another great day tomorrow. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow morning in the morning trading with all the members. If not, we're going to come back tomorrow night, and tomorrow night we'll dig a bit deeper into earnings season. Get ready for some of the biggest earnings coming out on Wednesday. All right, guys? Get a good night's sleep. Rest up. I'll see you tomorrow morning in the trade room. If not, same time, same place, back here tomorrow. Be well. Be nice to each other, and be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.